the NEC recognized that the need for more meetings so that we can have a national convention that is seamless and that has a kind of a buy-in of all segments of the party and members across the country. At that meeting, you recall that the NEC unanimously at the 99th meeting scheduled and approved the 30th of June for the next NEC meeting, which is about a week from now. And consistent with our plans, acts together, we needed to brief you to know where we are, what we are doing, and the fact that that 100th meeting, which is coming on the 30th of June, duly and unanimously convened by the NEC. So, and of course, there was a communique read at the end of that meeting where the chairman of the party conveying those resolutions. You recall at that meeting that two other critical decisions were taken. One, the constitution of the main officers of the zoning committee and of course a convention committee. And the NWC was directed to begin in consultation with various organs of the party and stakeholders and interests to ensure that the population of those committees are conducted or ensured. And that has continued. That is ongoing. And the committees from my feelers, they've done exceedingly well in that process, and that's ongoing. So the 100th meeting is to have a review of these processes. And so our members, the members of the National Executive Committees are ready, and they're preparing from the feelers we're getting that they are ready to participate actively at the next National Executive Committee meeting, which has been scheduled by the NEC for the 30th of June. Now, I think some certain thing needs to be put in perspective, that there are statutory meetings by the constitution of this party. Because, like I always said, we don't have a perfect document, but the PDP concern is almost near perfect in the sense that it makes provision for all of this. And I will share some of this with you so that the public will be aware, our members will be well informed about what it is. There are two major bodies in the party, the NWC and the NEC, that are required under the Constitution to have statutory meetings. Under Section 29, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the party, I just want to bring you up to speed to this so that you have a background of our understanding of how we operate as a party. The National Working Committee, under Section 29(3), is expected to meet at least twice a month, every fortnight. That's a statutory meeting, because they are the managers of the party. Then Section 36, Section 34, subsection 4, talks about the National Executive Committee meeting. And it talks about, and I will read that for clarity. The National Executive Committee shall meet at least once every quarter at the instance of the national chairman or at the request of 2/3 of his members, who shall notify the chairman at least 7 days prior to this meeting. And an emergency meeting may be summoned by the national chairman and have regards to all of the circumstances of the agenda. So you can see these two bodies. They have statutory roles and period to hold meetings. One, the NWC as managers would have their affairs, and then they submit those reports and affairs to the NEC. One is like a board, it's like a company. You have management of the company. You have board of governors. So what you do quarterly is to show your reports, and then they can direct or guide as appropriate, having the overall picture of what the company is doing. So the party is like that. You have the National Working Committee as managers. We have the NEC as like the board of governors or board of directors to which you submit reports and your activities, and they review that, and they can give directives. And if there's need, you convene an emergency meeting, depending on the circumstances. So it is in the light of that that the 100 meeting of NEC that has been convened and duly conveyed by the 99 NEC meeting was summoned, such as to receive reports and to ensure that the decisions of the 99 meeting can be reviewed in view of the fact that we're getting ready for our national convention. So it is on the basis of that happened. And at that meeting, by a motion moved by the governor of Oyo State, seconded by the minority leader in the Senate, Senator Abamoro, it was approved that the 100 meeting should take place. And then there was a further direction that INEC should be informed by way of courtesy. It must be clear that INEC has no role whatsoever in participating in regular meetings of these bodies that I've drawn to you. They have no role at all. And it must be clear to the whole world so that if there are issues that have become, I'll come presently to the issues that I've been reading in the last 1 week. And then you can see some of the distressing body thing coming from INEC, which of course is very unfortunate, but we'll go into that. But I haven't established this background. The background is that these two meetings, as provided in the constitution for the bodies, INEC has no role. However, there's an exception. And those are the issues that the Supreme Court has said they are internal affairs of the party. To the extent that when we're holding NWC meeting, we don't tell INEC. When we're holding the regular NEC meetings, we don't tell INEC. Except as provided for in the Electoral Act. And the only time that you need to give a 21 days notice to INEC is as provided in the Electoral Act, as well as the guideline of INEC. INEC should have a relationship with this because they manage, but they don't direct parties when it comes to their internal affairs. Because the courts have been so clear in plethora of cases, several cases, that the courts have no jurisdiction in the internal affairs of the party. One of such is convening regular meetings, which is NWC meeting, National Executive Committee meetings. So, but there are exceptions. And the exception is this: because we must make report to INEC if we have a convention that is elective, if we have congresses that is elective, if we have primaries where somebody will emerge as a candidate. Because we have to make report to INEC, we are duty bound under the law and the regulation of INEC to request and say we're giving you 21 days notice. The letter informing INEC must so state it. And so, in those situations, then you are bound by law to give INEC 21 days notice. Now, it takes me to what has been happening lately. Now, pursuant to the directive of the NEC at the 99 meeting, and in any event, just for clarity, this is the attendance register for members that attended the 99 meeting, where it was unanimously, it wasn't even two-thirds, it was unanimously agreed that the 100 meeting should take place on the 30th, duly proposed, resolution moved and seconded and approved unanimously. Based on that directive, that INEC, that the chairman, acting national chairman of the party should inform INEC. The party on the 30th of May, please take note of these timelines. On the 30th of May, the party wrote to INEC, and I'll read it for clarity. I know a lot of you have it, but again, for purposes of this conversation, I think for the emphasis, we need to draw attention to it so that the public will know, you will know, party members will know that this party has been doing everything in accordance with the law, in accordance with its constitution, in accordance with the practice and convention. And this is the letter received by INEC on 30th of May. That's it, the receipt of INEC. And I'll read it, I create your indulgence to read it. Notice of, hear this, notice of 100th National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party. That's the heading. Signed by the acting national chairman. It says, we write to formally inform and invite the INEC that the leadership of our great party, the People's Democratic Party, has scheduled our 100th National Executive Committee meeting to hold on Monday, June 30th, 2025, at the National Secretariat of our party, Wadata Plaza, Use Zone 5, Abuja. This is for the Commission's information and necessary actions, please. While thanking you for your usual cooperation, kindly acknowledge receipt of this letter and please accept the assurances of our highest regard. 30th of May, received that same day. Now, INEC replied to this letter. Reckon that the background I said before, that they have no business at those statutory meetings of the party, except for a meeting that is called for an election of officers, for issues that relates to mergers and arrangement with another party or fusion of parties, and 3, when you are providing or producing your candidates for elections. Those are 3 areas when you must give 21 days. And the reason is this, because INEC will ultimately have to deal with the outcome of those meetings. They need to get a register of political parties officers in their records. So if there are convention that produces members of national working committees, they will be there to monitor and to observe the process, and so that when reports are being sent by the party, they will have a copy of it because they will have monitored and they will have a duplicate copy. It's like a back end situation, so that whatever is coming from the field and communicated to them will align with what they too have on the field, have monitored. Now, with a letter signed by the acting secretary of the commission. Now, because whoever signs a letter is an internal affair of the party, right? It is not for INEC to tell us who can sign. Because an acting secretary signed here, we couldn't have said we won't recognize your letter because it was signed by acting secretary. If a court has said, Sarah, that anything that has to do with the internal affairs of the party, the court is not justiciable like we say in law, and we have no jurisdiction about it. If the court will not have jurisdiction about what happened with the internal affairs of the party, I wonder why INEC will. Because that is not the job of INEC. It is not. If we designate somebody to be the person to sign letter, so be it. And that's why it's an internal affair of the party. Now listen to this curious letter. I'll slowly read it so you can get the grasp of it. The letter was dated June 13th. We wrote our May 30th. It took INEC 13 days, 13, to reply. That's the date. And curiously, you see, as you go through this, you begin to see the curious and begin to ask questions. What's going on here? Why the desperation to kill political parties? All in the need to go towards one-party state, stifle opposition, which is just, like I've said earlier here, it's wishful thinking, it's hallucination. And APC should know that this is hallucinating. This country will not go into a one-party state, and nobody, no matter how powerful, whether you're a president or you're a combination of presidents, will not work. It won't work. And it's clear. Now, The letter of INEC. It said, notice of 100 National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party. Your letter on the above subject matter refers. We won't teach INEC how to write letters, but you should have said your letter dated so on this above refers. Right? They didn't. It was clever. You should have referred to the date of the letter when they received it. They didn't want to show that it took them 13 days to write the letter, to even begin to think to write. Now, 2, the commission draws your attention that the notice is not in compliance with the requirement of Part 2, subsection 12(3) of the regulations and guidelines for political parties, 2022, that provides, quote, the national chairman and national secretary of the party shall jointly sign the notice of convention, congress, conference or meeting, and submit same to the commission, be guided. Please accept the assurances of the commission's high regard. Let's flip back to what we said before. This is the regulation of INEC. I'll read it to you so you can understand. This is a regulation about the so-called Part 2, subsection 212(3) of the regulation and guidelines of political parties. Here you go. I'll read it. Part 212 says, every political party shall give the commission at least 21 days notice through a dedicated portal created for that purpose by the commission or of any convention, hear this, any convention, congress, conference, or meeting convened for the purpose, hear this, for the purpose of merger and electing members of its National Executive Committee, other governing bodies, or nominating candidate for any of the elective offices specified in the Electoral Act 2022. A hard copy of the notice may be submitted to the commission through a registered mail. Subsection 2. The notice shall indicate the purpose. Hear this again. The notice shall indicate the purpose, venue, date, time, and mode, whether virtual or in person, of the convention, congress, or meeting. We never mentioned here that we are giving you notice for that. Now, the acting secretary of INEC decided to import by himself a purpose on behalf of the party. We didn't say to you we are conducting a meeting to elect officers. We didn't say we're going to do primaries to get nomination for an elective position. We didn't say we're meeting because we're considering possibility of mergers. So where does Haliru Aminu, where did he get that from? So he decided on his own to import a purpose for our meeting to satisfy some vested interest from what we're getting from the grapevine, to ensure that they can continue to stifle the capacity of PDP to do its things in line with its constitution. And that is the whole thing about this. So you see it. Why can't INEC wait for us to give them notice of any of those issues? Like, okay, we're giving you 21 days notice. For the records, there have been several times we have issued notices of 21 days notice for congresses or other meetings that requires those things to INEC. And we have had cause at some point to even shift those dates. To say, look, we give you 21 days. However, that date will not be conducive anymore. We're moving into a future date for certain things. And they've accepted. So how this acting secretary decide on his own to create and become a member of a political party and create for us an agenda that was not conveyed in the letter of the acting national chairman to this. What we have done is to begin to wonder. And so the challenge for us now as a party is to say, who is the acting secretary of INEC? Who is he working for? What is the objective? Why is he creating an agenda for our party for a regular statutory meeting that is routine, just like the NWC meeting and the National Executive Committee meetings. So those are the questions that should come. And so when people come in, and then I think I read, I think in social media, one of the newspapers that INEC has cancelled the NEC. I was just laughing. It was hilarious. INEC cannot. It is the party that can decide that for some reasons we're doing this. It's within our right to do. It is not for INEC to do. And so INEC cannot cancel, and I'm sure that must be a characterization, because they never said that anyway. They never said that in their letter, and they know they could not have done that. So those are the issues that have popped up, and I think it requires attention sort of for clarification, so that we know, and those are the questions: who is Hillary Aminu working for? What does it stand to gain? We believe the INEC, because INEC has a duty. It's a public institution funded by taxpayers' funds, and that must be accountable to the Nigerian people. Apart from that, the bigger dimension to it, to the whole world, INEC has partners all over the world. They have various bodies and organizations in the world that is supporting INEC capacity to be able to want to remain independent, to be technically capable, and to ensure that they midwife and help in the electoral process. Those partners, those institutions, they're interested. And so INEC should be conscious about actions like this that can bring in issues that will affect our democracy and the confidence that those international partners have in INEC, in its ability to have capacity building and ability to have systems and technology to help in ensuring that we have a free, fair, and credible electoral process in this country. So those are the basic things that I thought we need to have this conversation this afternoon. And I think basically our party is very concerned, gravely concerned, and we would expect that INEC would go into these issues and find out why its officer, the acting secretary, will suo motu on his own create agenda for the National Executive Committee member meeting of our party. And so those are the issues that I think I should bring to your fore, so that we can be guided that the 100 meeting of the National Executive Committee is on course. The bodies set up in the 99 meeting are work in progress. They are compilation of members of the committees. There are consultation wide. There are what we need to do as a party, which we know how to do best. We consult. We don't direct. We don't tell somebody you are on the ballot. You are no longer on the ballot. We don't install as alleged a security camera in somebody's house without his knowledge. We don't do that. That's what we do here. We open up. We discuss our issues. And I will say to this, APC, know it. You cannot succeed. You brought so many fights into this party. But you see us moving from strength to strength, slowly, surely. And we will. Beyond that, the Nigerian people are interested. All this, I said the last time, whether you begin to induce defection, election 2027 is not about defection, it's about what happened in Benue, where 200 people were roasted in their homes. And you will see the pictorial, the video evidence will bring you, if you are a father, if you got blood in your system, then you will feel it, you will see it. You can imagine those kids that got burned. You will see like 8 of them closer in one corner. So they were terrified in the moment, the last minute. They have parents. For those who escaped, the memory will be for life. Those little kids, you know that they were scattering to one corner to see whether they can be saved. So imagine the trauma on their face, and they passed on like that. A president needs to be urged by the Pope to go there. He will be urged by PDP to say, go there, before he went there. He went there in Agbada to show that it's a party. It's a serious issue. That is what a president should do. Again, you can choose to wear whatever you want to wear. Again, they don't feel us. APC don't feel us. They are not us. They can't understand. They can't connect with the Nigerian people. They bring us bogus statistics every day that the prices, the inflation has gone down to 22%. I'm saying, is this voodoo economy? How? Well, maybe because you are a privileged class. Maybe because you are a privileged class, you are enjoying the 22%. I am not. You know, you people see many things. You probably see more. And you are seeing more, you have a different market where you go to. But to say this today, that a government will come out and completely disregard the reality on ground and begin to speak to what does not exist, where people are dying in their hundreds on a daily basis, and we're getting numb to violence. That's what will be on the ballot. What will be on the ballot will be that you and I, every day, we're suffocating under the policies of this government that they refuse to. And I said it last time here. The capacity of a leader to say, yes, I'm listening, can I review? That is his strength, it's not by being recalcitrant. It is in listening that is your strength. So you can say, maybe there's some other way to do it. That will be on the ballot. What will be on the ballot is the Nigerian people. The good thing is that Nigerian people are not defecting. You know why? Because they can't defect to hunger. They can't defect to insecurity. They can't defect to life discounting experiences on a daily basis. They can't defect to the fact that the disunity in the country is expanding on a daily basis. They can't defect to the fact that there's a few members of the cabal who are okay. And they're saying, you know what, we're okay. You should understand that we're okay. Therefore, you must be okay. Even if people are dying, and like they do die every day. So those are the issues that will be on the ballot. It's not so much about whether they delude themselves and say, oh, we're doing well. You're thinking to yourself. And then you are presiding over corruption, monumental. You're in the country where you're buying an aircraft of 360 billion naira when people can't go to send their kids to school, when they can't go to hospital. I went to a state in the last 1 week, and in the whole state, it's an APC state. I will spare them for now because there will be more conversation on that. We're going to take those issues one at a time. There's not one MRI machine in that state. The whole of the state, not one MRI machine. Not one. But in that state, they claim to have won election. And we're asking, who voted? It must be spirits. Because the APC as a government don't see us. They see themselves. But I think Nigerians are set for 2027. APC should know. And President Tinubu is a one-term president. With what's happening in this country today, those are recipe for one term. Because people are dying, people cannot feed, they can send their kids to school, they can't even buy their medication. People are dying by installment on a daily basis. And if you don't change that, that is what we call one-term president. And those are the recipe for it. I thank you, gentlemen, for your time, and I appreciate you for coming as always. Thank you.
Just two questions, just for clarity.
Yes. I just read to you the regulation and guidelines, which is actually an extrapolation from the Electoral Act, right? Section 82 in specific file. It talks about a political party shall give the commission at least 21 days notice by the commission of any, hear this out, convention, congress, conference, or meeting convened for that purpose, for the purpose of merger and electing members of its National Executive Committee. Those are when you need that. They now said further that the National Chairman and Secretary of the Police shall jointly sign the notice of convention, congress, conference, or meeting and submit same to the commission. those facts, convention, congress, refers to those ones that can do mergers, provide or produce candidates, or produce executive officers or officers of the party. That is one that requires the notice. Okay? We have had situation where the National Organizing Secretary signs documents to INEC. They've accepted it. This notice that we sent was sent to them by courtesy. Take a note. This is 100th meeting of the party. This is a party that has been around, and its centenary celebration anywhere. And if INEC is a partner that we expect them to be, well, then we can say, hey, we're doing a meeting, come on. That's it. That's what it is. It's nothing beyond that. We're not electing officers. We're not producing candidates. We're not discussing merger and acquisition by any other party or in arrangement or amalgamation. So, like I said, INEC just use an acting secretary to send us a notice. Can we say, your chairman must sign? There must be something, and that's why I said, who is the acting national or the acting secretary of commission? Who is he working for? And Haliru Aminu. And that's why we're asking INEC to find out, in the interest of the public, in the interest of Nigerians that are paying taxes, to support it. And more importantly, in the interest of the international community that have been partnering, hoping that INEC will begin to improve. Mahmoud has a duty to do that to Nigerian people.
On the date of the receipt of the letter.
Yes, good. Thank you, sir. We sent a letter on the 30th of May. INEC received this same day, 30th of May. INEC wrote his letter on the 13th of June. See the curious part of it. INEC did not bring the letter here until the 19th. But they released it to the social media 1 week ahead. I mean, this is the question you ask. The letter was dated 13th. It was received there on the 19th. But it's been on the social media like 3 days earlier. So it took them 1 week to move from their headquarters here. But he was able to go in 15 minutes to social media and then say all of this. We understand this game, and that's why we're saying, whose interest is it? How did it come out? That's why INEC management should investigate. Letter written on the 13th, received there on the 19th. This is it. So INEC, but it has been in social media for more than 36 hours before we actually even received it. Could we have been responding to something on social media in this age of AI and we can't. So when we got it, we said, okay, fine. And we try to do our own diligence search and report. Within the INEC, there are people there too. We've asked questions. That's what those questions asked that secretary. Haliru Aminu, ask him question.
Yeah, the YouTube clarification, please. For what you have said so far.
I said, it was courtesy. And I recognize that this is the 100th meeting. There's no political party in Nigeria today that has ever been alive to have a NEC meeting of 100. If anything, INEC should be happy that this is a party that has been around and doing this job. And if we inform them, they should, for courtesy, that's all. We're not under obligation to tell them that they were holding, particularly in that NEC meeting. It's not for those 3 items: nomination, merger, or election of people. So that's it, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Kenny
Party. And I reference the fact that we are recalibrating ourselves and we're doing what we needed to do in the interest of democracy and for Nigerians. So, yes, you look at the back, but we're focused because we're laser focused on recalibrating this party. We're doing that. And that's why the APC is jittery. That's why. Because they thought everything they have thrown at us, we probably will be under the waters now. And the more they do it, the more we come up. 2 days ago, they came out with the news that former Vice President Namadi Sambo had joined the APC. Wishful thinking. The man came out and said, I did not. Okay, so you trying to, don't be surprised when you say they were looking about move to APC. I mean, this is their stock in trade. So please, when you hear those information, just take a second, take a deep breath. Because APC is powered by propaganda. That's why they will tell you that inflation has reduced to 22% in the market. But you and I know it's not true. The unemployment rate has come to 22%, whatever it is true. I don't know, like I said, that must be voodoo economy and voodoo statistics. Yes, sir. First of all, the first question I reiterated. The letter for the 100 meeting was extended for courtesy. Pure and simple, nothing more. No meeting before the 100 meeting, none, that is regular meeting, like it is, has INEC been invited. They've been invited for meetings that relates to those three items I emphasized on. When you talk about meeting with INEC, INEC is a regulatory body for political parties in this country and for elections. So when you find political parties and their agents and their organs meeting with INEC, there's something out of place in that. And don't be surprised if we meet them tomorrow or next or the next 1 week. It is a routine thing. That's why INEC, even by itself, is always calling interactive session between them and political parties to understand. So if we as a political party has an issue to raise, I don't think there's anything wrong in that. So absolutely it is within the right of political parties to seek audience with INEC and to have a relationship with INEC and then to explain if need be or certain issue with them. So those meetings, those engagements are clearly within the relationship management between INEC and political parties, and of course PDP is not different in that regard.
One more thing. Let me just draw your attention to one of the decisions you took in the 1990s.
To have a resolution and say we're moving it forward. If we can move it to 100, we can move it to 101. So why are you worried about that? It is within the party's prerogative to decide at that meeting to say, okay, why this issue? Before then, there were other issues on that agenda. The meeting decided, okay, you know what, we're going to step this down. Let's get into this focus. So reading our minutes and then begin to say that's what will happen. No, because the agenda, if the agenda was one, would have been communicated if it falls within those issues that the regulation referred to. So, sir, read it as it is. And the fact that the party has capacity, has the right to determine his own internal affairs on what to consider and what not to consider. Have you not gone to a meeting where you have agenda, you say, okay, we're stepping it down by resolution? Have you not seen before? I'm telling you, I'm asking you. I'm asking you, because you are beginning to behave like INEC trying to create an agenda for us. I need to hear inflation. Yes, go ahead. Yes, sir. Yeah, I know you. And I'll tell you why. The challenge is this. I won't sit down here and preempt the job that the committees are doing, and there's several meetings, committees that are waiting. There's several interface. They are working. You've seen them traveling across the country, meeting with stakeholders. I think we should allow them. I have given you my commitment that the moment we have information that was important for the public and to you, we will. And so they are working, they're doing their job, and we're comfortable with their ability to have this. That's why APC is jittery. Now, we have capacity within us. I've said it severally. We have capacity to resolve our issues using the mechanism and the processes we have in the party. Look at the other people. Rather than do that, they solve that with their shares throwing in Gumbig. They resolve that by refusing to shake hands. They do that by refusing to speak to each other. Just watch the implosion coming. Will they do that by installing secret cameras among themselves? There's what it's called a lulu in Yoruba. You don't know what it means. That bird, yeah, it will bring the rain on itself. Just watch.
Last question.
Thank you.
Ongoing, like I always say to you, reconciliation is not a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. It's a 5,000-meter race or more, depending on the character and the complexity of the issues and the interest of individuals. And in a political party, there are contestation of ideas. There are interests, some very difficult to resolve, but because it's a work in progress, and because you have the capacity within you to do that, then you continue to work at it. The Olaguso have met. There were issues that they have resolved. Some were stepped down because we saw that they are not as critical in terms of creating too much turmoil within the party. And then, like I said earlier, when I answered one of your colleagues, there are several conversations at different layers and levels, at the state level, at the national level, at the governors forum and former governors forum level, and we are awaiting those reports. And when they come, we'll consider all of that, and then the party will move forward. But we're interested in ensuring that we're taking sure steps one at a time to ensure that this party begins to get its acts together. And we've started doing that with the nighttime meeting and surely with the 100 meeting that will be coming. AIT, we spoke yesterday. Welcome here.
Thank you, sir. All right, sir. Sir, the public would like to know whether you have reclaimed back this venue. You know, the party was embarrassed the other time, and has the ground rent to be paid, and how much?
And how much? You need to go by 12 city and ask them. Let me tell you straight away. The question, you've answered it yourself. If this party is not here for us to, if we're not being reclaimed in your words, I'm choosing your words, we won't be here. I think that answers it. All right? I think that answers it.
Yes, sir, but the public will want to know,
Yeah.
Specifically and officially, have you paid the money and how much?
How much? Yes. I don't have that information right now as to how much. But the party, through the relevant department, are interfacing with the FCT, and that can't be a challenge to us. Payment is being effected. I don't know exactly as at this point, but if you want clarification, then I can get back to you on that. But as to whether the property is there, look no further. You can see renovation going on here. That tells you some issues going on here.
What about the complex decentralized?
That is a subject matter of litigation. We drew that attention before then. Hear this. I know there's something we call mala fide in law, bad faith. When someone has bad faith, what it does is that it eclipses reason. If you are acting in bad faith, reason will disappear. Reason takes flight when the baseline is bad faith. The new building, there's a litigation wherein the FCDA is the first defendant, PDP as second defendant. The FCDA is represented by lawyers. They've been in court. Okay? And so, if a matter is pending before court, can you validly revoke it? And so those are the issues that comes in. It suffices to say that the subject matter of that property is a pending action in court, and that's where it is right now. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It does. Yes, ma'am. This man will give it to you.
What is that?
That is the regulation of INEC.